Welcome back, everyone, to the Deep Dive. This time, we're taking a deep dive into a book that's been shaking things up. Feeling is the Secret by Neville Goddard.
Yeah, it's definitely a thought-provoking read.
It really is, and we're fortunate enough to be working with the audiobook version read by Adam Hammond.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, his narration is amazing and actually brings a whole other level to Goddard's ideas.
I can imagine.
Especially, the mind-bending concept that we can actually, consciously control our reality using the power of our subconscious minds.
It's kind of a radical concept, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. He straight up says we can create our dream lives.
He doesn't just hint at it like some self-help books,
No, he lays it all out there and even gives specific techniques to access that power, like sleep and prayer.
Yeah, those are some of the more intriguing aspects of his work, for sure.
But before we get ahead of ourselves, can we maybe break down this whole idea of the subconscious a bit more?
Definitely. So Goddard explains consciousness as having these two parts, right? The conscious and the subconscious.
Right.
And he compares them to male and female aspects.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, where the conscious mind is that male aspect more focused on effects.
Okay.
And then the subconscious is the female aspect, which is the realm of cause.
So if I'm getting this right, the subconscious is like the driving force behind everything that happens in our lives.
Exactly. It's like the creative powerhouse that's constantly shaping our experiences.
Wow. So it's not just about storing memories. It's actually like creating our reality.
That's it. Goddard calls it the womb of creation.
Oh, wow.
It takes those impressions and feelings, we feed it, and then gives them form in our reality. And what's really wild is it doesn't judge or analyze anything.
Oh, really?
Nope. It just accepts whatever we give it as the truth and runs with it.
That's actually kind of terrifying if you think about it.
It definitely makes you reconsider your thoughts and feelings, doesn't it?
For sure. Because if we're constantly dwelling on anxieties and, limitations, that kind of thing, we're essentially programming our subconscious to just create more of that in our lives.
Exactly. It's like if you keep telling yourself you're not good enough, your subconscious is going to believe you and then create experiences that reflect that belief.
Oh, gosh, that's a scary thought.
It is. But it also highlights the incredible power we have, right?
Right. So instead of focusing on what we don't want, we need to shift our attention to what we do want.
That's the key.
And feel it as if it's already happening.
Exactly. Feeling is the secret. It's not enough to just think about it.
Okay. I'm starting to see why the book is called Feeling is the Secret. But how do we actually do that?
How do we shift from, dwelling on what we don't want to feeling as if our desires are already a reality?
Yeah. That seems like a huge leap.
Well, that's where Goddard introduces his techniques like sleep.
Oh, right.
He talks about sleep being like a natural doorway to the subconscious.
Interesting.
Have you ever had those gut feelings about something?
Oh, yeah, all the time.
Well, Goddard would say that's your subconscious trying to guide you,
Wow.
And sleep is a time when we can tap into that inner guidance more directly.
Okay, so instead of, replaying all our worries before bed, we should be focusing on the joy and the satisfaction of having already achieved our goals.
Exactly. Our last waking thoughts and feelings are so important because they're like seeds being planted in that fertile ground of the subconscious.
That's such a good analogy.
Right. So before you drift off, try to really vividly imagine yourself already experiencing what you want. Feel that joy, that gratitude, the sense of accomplishment.
It's like setting an intention for our dreams.
That's a great way to put it.
This is making a lot of sense to me, but I gotta admit, it feels a little counterintuitive.
How so?
Well, we're so conditioned to think that we have to, work for what we want, to plan and strategize and take action. But Goddard seems to be suggesting a more internal, almost passive approach.
Well, it's not about ignoring practical action altogether. It's more about understanding that our inner state is what really sets the stage for outer manifestation.
Yeah.
So
it's like that saying, as within, so without.
Exactly. Our inner world creates our outer world.
That's deep.
It is. You could think of it like an athlete preparing for a big competition.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, they need to physically train, but they also need to cultivate that winning mindset.
Right, to visualize themselves succeeding.
Yeah. That inner belief is just as crucial as the physical effort.
Oh, for sure. So it's we need to become the person we want to be on the inside before we can see those changes reflected in our external reality.
Exactly. It's about aligning our inner world with our desired outer world.
Wow, this is blowing my mind.
It's a pretty powerful concept, isn't it?
It really is. It makes you wonder if we're all just walking around manifesting our realities without even realizing it.
Goddard would say we absolutely are. But most of us are doing it unconsciously, right?
Oh, yeah.
We're letting our fears and limiting beliefs kind of run the show.
And those are shaping our experiences.
Exactly. He's challenging us to become conscious creators,
Actually take control.
Yeah, to take the reins of our subconscious power and steer it towards what we truly desire.
So instead of letting life just happen to us, we can actually choose what we experience.
That's the idea. We have the power to choose our thoughts, our feelings, and ultimately our reality.
This is so empowering.
It is. It gives you a whole new sense of agency, doesn't it?
It really does. It's like a whole new world of possibilities has opened up.
I'm glad to hear that.
I'm definitely ready to dive deeper into how we do this.
Sounds good. What do you want to explore next?
Well, we've talked about sleep, but Goddard also mentions prayer as a technique for accessing the subconscious right.
Yeah, prayer's another powerful tool he discusses.
But it's not about begging a higher power for what we want, is it?
No, not at all. It's about using prayer as a way to enter that state of feeling, that deep inner knowing that our desires are already fulfilled.
Okay, so it's more about like aligning ourselves with the creative power within us.
Exactly. Not seeking approval or intervention from outside sources.
This whole concept of prayer is taking on a whole new meaning for me.
In what way?
Well, I've always struggled with the idea of like petitionary prayer, But this idea of using prayer to cultivate a feeling, a state of being that feels so much more empowering.
It's a shift in perspective, isn't it?
It really is. It's about recognizing that the power to create our reality lies within us, not outside of us.
Exactly. It's about tapping into our own inner resources.
This is also fascinating, but to be honest, it's also a little daunting.
How so?
Well, it's one thing to intellectually grasp these concepts,
Right.
But how do we actually apply them in our lives?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
It is. Like, what does it actually look like to become one with the desire in a practical sense?
Well, that's a great question, and it's one that Goddard addresses directly in his work.
Oh, good.
He provides practical exercises and techniques for cultivating the feeling of the wish fulfilled.
Okay.
For bridging that gap between imagination and reality.
This is definitely challenging the way I usually approach setting goals and intentions.
Oh, how?
Usually it's all about, lists and action plans, pushing myself to achieve things.
Right.
But Goddard seems to be suggesting a much more subtle internal approach.
It's not that action isn't important.
Okay.
But rather that our inner state is the foundation upon which all action is built. If we're constantly feeling stressed, doubtful, or overwhelmed, those feelings are going to seep into our actions and ultimately hinder our progress.
Right.
But if we can cultivate a sense of inner peace, confidence, and alignment with our desires,
then our actions will be more effective.
Exactly. It's like we're working with the current instead of against it.
That's a great analogy. So it's not just about trying to change our circumstances. It's about trying to become the person who already has those circumstances.
That's a brilliant insight. It's about embodying the feeling of the wish fulfilled.
Not just intellectually grasping the concept.
Exactly. It's about stepping into the reality we want to create internally and then allowing that inner shift to manifest in our outer experience.
This is making me rethink my approach to pretty much everything.
It can be quite a paradigm shift, Ken.
It really can. But I'm curious, does Goddard give any concrete examples of how this works in real life?
He does. In fact, his book is full of captivating stories from his own life and the experiences of others who have successfully applied these techniques.
Oh, wow. Like what?
He talks about people manifesting everything from healing illnesses to finding love to achieving financial abundance, all by mastering their feelings and aligning them with their desires.
Now I really need to hear more. It's one thing to understand these concepts intellectually.
Right.
But it's those real-life examples that bring it to life and make it feel attainable.
I agree. Those stories are like sparks of possibility,
They show us that it's actually possible.
Exactly. They demonstrate that feeling truly is the secret to unlocking our potential and shaping our reality.
I can't wait to delve into those stories. But before we do, can we maybe just recap the key points we've covered so far?
Sure. So far, we've discussed the idea that the subconscious mind is a powerful creative force that shapes our reality based on the feelings we impress upon it.
Right.
We've explored how sleep and prayer can be used as techniques to access the subconscious and plant the seeds of our desires. And we've touched on the importance of becoming one with the desire, of embodying the feeling of the wish fulfilled as if it's already happened.
This is all so much to absorb, but in a good way.
It can be a lot to take in, but it's exciting stuff, isn't it?
It really is. It's like a whole new world of possibilities has opened up.
I'm glad you're feeling that way.
I'm already feeling inspired to experiment with these techniques in my own life.
That's fantastic. Remember, the key is to approach this with a sense of curiosity and experimentation.
Okay.
Allow yourself to play with these ideas, to see how they resonate with you, and to discover what works best for you. There's no right or wrong way to do this. It's all about finding what feels authentic and empowering for you.
That's great advice.
And remember, as Goddard himself said, the world is yourself, push out. Ask yourself what you want, and then feel yourself as having already received it. The feeling creates the fact.
Those are powerful words to live by.
They really are.
Okay, I'm ready to dive into those real-life examples.
Let's do it.
Let's hear some stories about how people have used the power of feeling to transform their lives.
All right, let's explore the transformative power of feeling through the lens of real-life experiences. Let's start with one of the most powerful examples Goddard shares in the book.
Okay.
The story of a woman who used the power of feeling to heal her terminally ill sister.
Whoa, okay, that's getting my attention for sure. Tell me more. What was the situation?
So the woman's sister was miles away, and doctors had given up hope.
Oh, wow.
They said her condition was beyond medical help.
That's awful.
It was a dire situation, but this woman, she just refused to accept it. Yeah, every night before she went to sleep, she would imagine her sister healthy, vibrant, full of life.
And she truly believed it.
She held on to that feeling with absolute conviction, even though everything in her external reality seemed to contradict it.
Wow, that must have taken incredible faith and willpower,
It's a perfect example of what Goddard means by feeling is the secret.
Right.
It's not enough to just passively hope or wish for something.
Yeah.
You have to actively create it in your mind. You have to feel it as if it's already true.
So she was essentially rewriting her sister's reality through the power of her own feeling.
That's the idea. It sounds almost like science fiction.
It kind of does.
But Goddard presents it as this very real, practical possibility.
That's what I find so fascinating about his work. It's not about magic or anything supernatural.
No, it's about understanding these natural laws of the universe.
Right.
The power of the subconscious mind to shape our experience.
Okay, so I'm on the edge of my seat here. Did the sister actually recover?
Well, according to Goddard, the sister made a complete and unexpected recovery, much to the astonishment of her doctors.
No way. That's amazing.
It is a remarkable story.
It really is.
And, we have to be careful about drawing definitive conclusions from just anecdotal evidence.
Yeah, I know.
But the story, and there are many others like it in the book, serve as powerful illustrations of the principle Goddard is conveying.
Right.
That feeling is not just some airy-fairy concept. You know? It's this potent force that can have a real impact on our lives and even potentially the lives of those around us.
This is incredibly inspiring.
It really is.
It really highlights the responsibility we have to choose our feelings consciously,
Especially when we're faced with challenging situations.
Right. Like it's a reminder that even when things seem hopeless, we always have the power to choose a different feeling, a different belief.
And therefore a different outcome.
Exactly. It's about shifting our focus from what is to what can be.
From dwelling on problems to embracing possibilities.
That's powerful. It's like we have this incredible power within us.
But most of the time, we're not even aware of it.
Let alone using it to our advantage.
That's what Goddard's work is all about.
Yeah.
Awakening us to that power, helping us understand that we're not just passive recipients of fate, but active creators of our own reality.
Okay, so we've talked about healing, but what about other areas of life? Like Goddard also talks about using these techniques for achieving financial abundance, right?
Absolutely. That's another big one.
I think that's something a lot of people could relate to.
For sure. Who doesn't want more financial abundance, right?
Exactly. So how does that work?
Well, Goddard emphasizes that the feeling of wealth must be assumed and maintained regardless of your current financial circumstances.
So even if you're struggling financially?
Even then. It's about shifting your internal state to align with the reality you want to experience.
So it's not about visualizing stacks of money or winning the lottery?
No, not necessarily.
It's more about embodying the feeling of financial security and freedom?
Exactly. It's about cultivating that feeling of abundance, of having more than enough.
Even if your bank account doesn't reflect that reality yet.
Right. It's about trusting that the universe will provide, that your desires are already on their way to you.
This is so different from the way we're usually taught to approach money and success.
In what way?
It's always about hard work, hustle competition,
Yeah, the traditional grind.
But Goddard is saying it's more about aligning ourselves with the flow of abundance.
Trusting that what we need will be provided.
That's a big shift in thinking.
It is. He's challenging us to shift our perspective from scarcity to abundance.
From fear to faith.
Exactly. And when we can make that internal shift, our outer experience will inevitably follow suit.
This is making me think about all the times I've sabotaged myself because of my own limiting beliefs about money.
Oh, yeah. Tell me about it.
It's like I was subconsciously pushing abundance away.
Because you didn't believe you deserved it.
Yeah. Or that it was even possible for me.
That's a very common experience.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. A lot of us carry around these subconscious beliefs about money.
That we've inherited from our families or our culture.
Exactly. Or from past experiences.
But the good news is we can change those beliefs, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Goddard's techniques provide really powerful tools for doing just that.
Okay. I'm definitely starting to see the practical applications of this.
It's not just a mystical woo-woo concept of manifestation, you know?
No, it's about understanding how our thoughts and feelings create our reality.
And then using that knowledge to consciously create the life we want.
That's a great way to summarize it. It's about taking ownership of our creative power.
And using it to shape our experience. Recognizing that we're not just victims of circumstance.
But architects of our own destiny.
Exactly.
This is incredibly empowering.
I know, right?
But I have to admit, I'm also feeling a little overwhelmed.
Yeah, what way?
Well, it's like we've opened this Pandora's box of possibilities. And now I'm not sure where to begin, you know?
I understand.
If we really have this power to create our reality, how do we choose what to focus on?
That's a great question.
And how do we even know what we truly desire?
Those are the very questions Goddard encourages us to explore.
Oh, really?
Yeah. He suggests starting with a simple process of self-reflection.
Okay.
Asking ourselves what would truly make us happy.
What would bring us a sense of fulfillment and purpose?
Exactly. And then once we have some clarity around our desires, we can begin to cultivate the feeling of having already achieved them.
So it's not about creating this laundry list of material possessions or external achievements.
No, not at all.
It's about identifying the feelings we want to experience in our lives.
That's it. It's about aligning our desires with our core values.
With what truly matters to us on a soul level.
Exactly. And then using the power of feeling to bridge the gap between where we are and where we want to be.
This is really making me think about the importance of self-awareness.
Oh yeah, self-awareness is crucial.
If we're not clear about our own desires, how can we possibly manifest them right?
It's like we need to do some inner work before we can see those desires reflected in our outer world.
You've hit the nail on the head. Self-awareness is the foundation of conscious creation.
I agree.
The more we understand ourselves, our motivations, our deepest desires, the more effectively we can use the power of feeling to shape our reality.
It all starts with knowing yourself.
Okay, I'm starting to get this.
Good.
But there's still one piece of the puzzle that feels a bit murky to me.
What's that?
How do we sustain that feeling of having already achieved our desires?
Especially when our current reality seems to contradict it.
Yeah. It's easy to get excited about a goal initially.
Right.
But then doubt, fear, and old patterns can creep in.
That's a very common challenge.
It is.
And it's where those techniques we discussed earlier, like sleep and prayer, become so important.
Oh, okay.
They provide a way to consistently reinforce those feelings.
To imprint them more deeply into our subconscious mind.
Exactly.
So even when we're feeling discouraged or doubtful, we can use those techniques to reconnect with the feeling of our wish fulfilled.
To remind ourselves that it's already on its way to us.
That's a really good point. It's about consistently nurturing those seeds of desire.
Even when we don't see immediate results.
Right. It's about trusting the process.
Knowing that the universe is working behind the scenes to align us with our desires.
This is really starting to click for me.
That's good. I'm glad to hear that.
It's not about denying reality or pretending that challenges don't exist.
No, not at all.
It's about shifting our inner focus to align with our desires.
Trusting that the universe will support us in their manifestation.
Beautifully said. It's about cultivating a sense of inner alignment.
Knowing that we are always connected to the source of our desires, even when we can't see the path unfolding before us.
This conversation has been a game changer for me. I feel like I'm starting to see the world in a whole new light.
That's amazing to hear.
Recognizing the power I have to shape my own reality.
That's the magic of Goddard's work.
It really is.
It awakens us to that infinite potential that lies within us.
Empowering us to become conscious creators of our own lives. But I have to be honest, there's still a part of me that's a little skeptical.
Understandable.
Yeah.
It's a big shift in thinking.
It is. I know we've talked about some compelling anecdotes, but is there any scientific evidence to support these claims?
That's a great question. And it's one that many people have asked over the years.
That's right.
While the scientific community is still, exploring the complexities of consciousness and the power of the mind, there is a growing body of research that suggests our thoughts and beliefs can have a profound impact on our physical reality.
Oh, really?
Yeah. For example, there's been fascinating research in the field of epigenetics, which suggests that our environment and our experiences can actually alter the expression of our genes.
Wait, so you're saying that our thoughts, beliefs, and emotions can literally change our biology?
The evidence seems to point in that direction.
That's mind-blowing.
It is pretty wild, isn't it?
It really is.
Yeah.
So it's not just about our thoughts influencing our behavior.
Right.
They can actually change our physical makeup.
And then there's the placebo effect.
Oh, right, the placebo effect.
Which has been well documented in medicine.
Yeah.
It shows that simply believing in the effectiveness of a treatment, even if it's a sugar pill, can trigger real physiological changes in the body.
That's incredible.
It really speaks to the interconnectedness of mind and body.
And the profound influence our thoughts and beliefs can have on our overall well-being.
Exactly.
Okay, this is all starting to make sense.
Good.
So even if we don't fully understand the scientific mechanisms at play, there's enough evidence to suggest that our minds are far more powerful than we've been led to believe.
I think that's a safe conclusion. And Goddard's work provides a framework for understanding and harnessing that power.
Right.
For consciously directing our thoughts and feelings towards creating the reality we desire.
This whole conversation has been a real eye-opener.
It's been a pleasure discussing this with you.
But before we wrap up,
can
we circle back to those stories we talked about earlier?
Of course. Which ones are you most curious about?
I'm just eager to hear more real-life examples of how people have used the power of feeling to transform their lives.
I'd be delighted to share some more stories with you. Let's delve into the realm of possibility and see how the principles we've discussed can be applied in everyday life.
Okay, so we're diving back into those real-life stories now.
We are. Ready for more examples of the power of feeling in action.
Definitely. We talked about healing and financial abundance, but what other areas of life have people seen results in using Goddard's techniques?
Well, Goddard covers a really wide range of examples.
Like what?
Everything from finding love
to
getting that dream job, even to seemingly small things like finding a parking space in a crowded city.
Wait, finding a parking space?
Yeah.
Seriously?
I know it sounds kind of silly, right?
It does. It feels so mundane compared to healing illnesses or manifesting wealth.
I know, but that's exactly the point Goddard is trying to make.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's not about the size or significance of the desire.
Okay.
It's about recognizing that the same principle applies to everything in our experience.
So even something as simple as finding a parking space can be a demonstration of the power of feeling.
Exactly.
Right.
He tells this story about a man who consistently used the feeling of relief and satisfaction of having already found the perfect parking spot.
Okay.
Even as he was driving into this notoriously crowded area, time after time, a spot would magically open up for him right where he needed it.
Wow, that's crazy. So it's like we're training our subconscious to be on the lookout for what we want, even in the most unexpected places.
It's like shifting our perception from lack and limitation to abundance and possibility.
So instead of focusing on the problem, like there are never any parking spots, we're focusing on the solution. Like I always find the perfect parking space.
Yeah. And by feeling the satisfaction of that outcome, we're aligning ourselves with its manifestation.
That's a really powerful way to think about it. It's like we're not just passively hoping for things to work out.
No.
We're actively shaping our reality through our thoughts and feelings.
And that's what makes Goddard's work so compelling. It empowers us to take control of our experience, to become conscious creators of our own lives.
I'm starting to get really excited about the potential of all this.
I can hear it in your voice.
I have to admit, there's still a part of me that's wondering if this is something anyone can do, or are some people just naturally better at manifesting than others?
That's a great question, and one that Goddard addresses directly.
Oh, good.
He believes that everyone has the inherent capacity to shape their reality through feeling.
Okay.
But some people may need to practice and cultivate this ability more than others.
So it's like a muscle that gets stronger with use.
That's a great analogy. Just like any skill, the more we practice focusing our thoughts and feelings, the more adept we become at manifesting our desires.
Okay, that makes me feel a lot better. So it's not about some innate talent or special gift.
Nope.
It's about dedication and consistent effort.
That's a big part of it. Goddard emphasizes that feeling is a habit.
A way of being that we cultivate over time.
Yeah, it's about training our minds to focus on what we want to feel, the reality of our desires, even when our current circumstances haven't caught up yet.
This is all starting to feel a lot more accessible and practical.
It's not about some magical formula.
It's about understanding the power of our minds and making a conscious choice to use that power to create the life we want.
Beautifully said. It's about reclaiming our power as conscious creators.
This whole conversation has been such a mind bender in the best possible way.
I'm glad you're enjoying it.
I feel like I'm seeing the world with new eyes, recognizing the potential that exists within each and every one of us.
That's the magic of Goddard's work. It awakens us to a whole new realm of possibility.
I'm definitely feeling inspired to start putting these principles into practice.
That's awesome. I'm excited for you.
But before we wrap up, I'd love to hear any final words of wisdom you might have for our listeners who are eager to start experimenting with the power of feeling.
I would say approach this with a sense of curiosity and playfulness.
Okay.
Don't be afraid to experiment, to try different techniques, to see what resonates with you.
No matter how big or small the desire.
Exactly. Remember, feeling is the key. Choose the feelings that align with your desires, cultivate them consistently, and trust that the universe will conspire to bring them into being.
Those are great words to end on. Thank you so much for sharing your insights and expertise with us today. This has been an incredibly thought-provoking and empowering deep dive.
The pleasure was all mine. It's always a joy to discuss Goddard's work.
I hope our listeners feel inspired to explore the power of feeling in their own lives and discover the magic that unfolds when we align our inner world with our desired outer world.
I hope so too.
Thanks again for joining us, and until next time, keep exploring, keep feeling, and keep creating the reality you desire.